Or how were they originally done?
Well, the first translation was to Aramaic, and then to Greek, and then I think to either Arabic or to Latin.
So the first translation was the Dead Sea Scrolls, as far as we know?
Well, the translation of the Bible itself, the 5 books, the first 5 books, and then the intervening 17, the prophets and whatnot, those were translated into different languages, book to book. The Dead Sea Scrolls are both books of the Bible with slight modifications, or completely independent kinds of text.
How many of them are books of the Bible? How many of the stories?
I think Isaiah was found in the Dead Sea caves. Maybe some Ezekiel, maybe some Leviticus. Like a number. But not the whole.
Was Ezekiel the same as it was in the Old Testament?
Mostly. There are modifications, though, with the Dead Sea translations, versus the ones we read today.
Ezekiel's the wildest one.
Ezekiel really got me hooked on the whole DMT, endogenous spiritual experience kind of motif. Yeah, the visions of Ezekiel chapter 1.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this roaring sound, and he falls down, and an angel picks him up, and there's like blue ice above and a roaring sound.
And a wheel within a wheel.
The wheels and the angels with the wings and the eyes on their wings. It's completely DMT-like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really impressed with the overlap of the two sets of experiences.
The UFO community latches onto Ezekiel as well.
Yeah.
The depictions. I saw an image today. I should have saved it and sent it to Jamie, but it was angels. It was a visual interpretation, like a drawing of angels as described in the Bible, and these angels look like flying crafts. They look like flying geometric patterns.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Is a German guy, I think, who was really into
that's
the
not
visions.
What I saw today, but it was something like that. It was something like that. That was what it was, Jamie.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
With a gyroscope.
Yeah. Like this is angels as described in the Bible.
Yeah, the four faces: a lion, a bear, a man, and an eagle. Who is that drawing by?
I don't know. Just
The chariot vision of Ezekiel.
Van Daniken or something?
Oh, Eric Von Daniken, that guy?
Yeah, I think.
Is it that? No,
No?
that can't be it. I think that's just an old art piece.
Ophanim.
See, go to the Wikipedia again, Jamie, so we can get the description.
It didn't have anything. It just said it was a typical traditional depiction.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't say who.
There might be
Yeah, like a wood cutting of
But
some
that is
sort.
kind of how it was described. It's the Von Daniken thing is fascinating. I had lunch with him once.
Where?
Peter Thiel's house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So Eric Weinstein said, "Hey, I would like you to come to this lunch. We're going to do with Eric Von Daniken. You know a lot about that guy's stuff." I'm like, "Oh, I know everything about that guy's stuff. Like
Yeah.
I've seen Chariots of the Gods like fucking 10 times. I've watched 100 interviews with this guy. He's like all in on the idea that UFOs created all this stuff and they're all flying spacemen. And
Well, who created the UFOs?
that's a real good question. He doesn't have that
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, that's the first question I would ask him.
But it's he's a very nice guy. I don't want to say anything bad about him, and I really enjoyed Chariots of the Gods. It's a fun movie. It's like, have you ever seen it?
No.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's from like 1976. It played in the movie theaters.
I remember when it came out. Yeah.
What year is Chariots of the Gods? It's pretty old, but in it, he's all in on everything being evidence that UFOs were here, and a lot of like real sketchy connections, in my opinion. I'm more inclined to go the Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson route. I think there was a very sophisticated civilization that existed. Like, what year?
1970.
70. Damn. But I saw it in the movie theater when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
But I think that there's real evidence that there was a sophisticated civilization. The Egyptian pyramids are enough. It's just like whatever the hell was going on there, That was an insanely sophisticated civilization that existed 4,500 years ago at least, and probably went back quite a bit further than that. According to their hieroglyphs, it went back 30,000 years. And whatever was going on there was pretty incredible. And I think to just say that the aliens did it, it seems a little silly, because there's no evidence that the aliens did it. There's evidence that there was people around back then.
Yeah, it's a case of Occam's razor. The most sensible explanation is probably the most likely.
Yeah, but then there's also so many stories of us being visited in almost every ancient culture.
Well, is that like being visited or just the experience of being visited?
Are they the same thing?
Well, one would be physically manifest, and the other would just be manifest in the mind.
Well, I think a lot of people are starting to lean in this general direction of that perhaps we're trying to measure something that cannot be measured. Perhaps we're trying to put something on a scale that does not necessarily physically exist, but also has the attributes of something that physically exists, or they can manifest something that physically exists, but it's kind of an illusion, and the whole thing is kind of going on simultaneously, interdimensionally, and that this is why we struggle with our definitions and our overall acceptance of even the possibility of it being real. I think most people, when you talk to them about UFOs, if they don't have any skin in the game, they'll tell you they believe in UFOs. They'll tell you that they think we've been visited because it's fun. But if you said to them, if you had to bet everything you have on the government has recovered crashed UFOs and that they visit us and they come from the Pleiades star system and they've been here from the beginning of time, or there's weird conscious experiences, weird doors, portals of consciousness that open up that allow you to see things that might not necessarily be physically measurable, but are also real. And that these things are what everybody's talking about in these ancient religious stories. These things are things that people are talking about when they claim they've been abducted by UFOs, then something landed, and even the physical remnants of these crafts, all of it might be just a part of this very bizarre psychic experiment that's going on. That as the mind expands its ability to understand other realms, and as the mind, you have to think of, you don't have to, but the way I think of it is we didn't used to be able to see. So it was an emerging trait of single-celled organisms, no sight. If you believe in evolution, it goes to multi-celled organisms, eventually goes to sight. So it's an emerging part of being a living thing that you can see. And then language. We didn't used to be able to talk, now we talk freely. So there's an emerging thing, an ability that human beings had. And I think consciousness, psychic ability, precognition, remote viewing, all this stuff. For most people, that's a nonsense thought. But I think the thought is so prevalent in so many different cultures. Psychic phenomena is discussed ubiquitously in every corner of the world. And I think it's probably an emerging part of being a human being.
Well, do you think it's biologically based? It would need to be if it were universal like that.
Chemically based, biologically based. I'm sure it probably has a lot to do with the diet of the creatures, right? I mean, if humans are consistently, if you're in the Amazon, you're consistently taking ayahuasca and eating mushrooms and having rituals, you're probably in that realm more often than a regular person who eats McDonald's and drinks coffee at Starbucks and is stressed out because they work all day and is on SSRIs. You're probably not getting much of that at all.
There's a lot of telepathy I think, that occurs in those kinds of cultures. They share dreams and they share visions. Very interesting.
Well, you know that's what they tried to initially call harmine when they
Right.
discovered it. They tried to call it telepathy.
Telepathy, exactly. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but it already existed under the definition, under the nomenclature. They called it harmine, so they had to go, okay, well, it's already named. Too
Well,
bad.
it
It'd be cool
was-
to call it telepathine.
Right. It was synthesized by somebody and got that name. Yeah.
But the people that were experiencing it then, when they wanted to name it telepathine, they wanted to name it that because they were experiencing telepathic.
Right.
They were having these weird experiences where they were sharing moments.
Shared visions.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think you can share visions just like you can share thoughts. You can, or you share feelings. I think just a little more complex.
The thing about that is, if it's local and there's other communication, right? If you're both in the same room, and your friend says, "Not the pyramid," so I see the pyramid now. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you guys are nowhere near each other, you can't hear each other, can't, and then you independently write down what you experienced, and then that person says and they have the exact same thing. So they have no interaction with you before they write down what they experienced or recorded or what have you, but they're the same. They're having the same thing.
Yeah. Do you know of Rupert Sheldrake's work?
Yes.